So, Formula One this weekend, I'll be watching the Bahrain Grand Prix and also WWE WrestleMania 32. So, the Bahrain Grand Prix has been going for, well, since 2002? No, 2004. And the first winner was Michael Schumacher, obviously. And I think he still holds the lap record there. Fernando Alonso's won it 3 times. Sebastian Vettel's won it twice. Felipe Massa's won it twice. And I think Lewis Hamilton's won it twice. Yeah. So it'll be an interesting one because the latest reports from Fernando Alonso is that he will be, well, he thinks that the car has a decent pace. So unfortunately we didn't get to see that in Australia because of his crash. But maybe we'll see him, you know, out in the front. The track length is 3.3 miles. Not too sure what the race length is. The amount of laps is 57, so that'll be good. I prefer the longer races. What other facts can I give you about this race? A few years ago they moved it over from like an afternoon race to a night race, so that will be interesting. So my prediction for the Bahrain Grand Prix is that Nico Rosberg will get pole on qualifying. The race winner is either Sebastian Vettel with Lewis coming second, or Fernando Alonso coming first. Yes, I said it, first, and Lewis second and Nico third. That would be an ideal situation. I think Felipe Massa is very strong at this race as well, so we'll see him either qualifying high up or staying put on the race at whatever position he ends up in after the first corner. This race isn't really one that you can overtake as well as some of the others. It's not an amazing track, to be honest with you. It's amazing to look at, but sometimes I find it kind of dull, to be honest with you. There are some good opportunities for overtaking, but it's mainly the undercut that gets used. There have been some times actually when some racing drivers have thrown caution to the wind and you know, done some really amazing overtaking maneuvers, but I'd like to see a bit more overtaking in Bahrain. No doubt that the rest of the show will be good. I think the Sky F1 guys will be really on top form, and I hope the race has a really good outcome, and I hope there's some good celebrities there on the Martin's grid walk. Hold the phone. Fernando Alonso will not be racing at the Bahrain Grand Prix at all. The doctors have said, sorry mate, you haven't recovered. So Vandoorne is going to be racing instead of him, which is going to be annoying for me. Wait a minute. Did you just say you had fractured ribs? Okay, so there's now a further developing story where Fernando Alonso has been hiding the fact that he has injuries from the crash in Australia. So now he may not be at the Chinese Grand Prix, and maybe not even in any others for maybe, I don't know, until like late April or early May. Right, so the doctors are saying if he races in China or Bahrain, he risks having the fractured ribs moving towards his lung, which sounds really horrible. And because of the G-forces in the car, it's an actual possibility. And Alonso's just turned around and said, well, it's a very small chance of it happening, but he might decide to step out of the Chinese Grand Prix as well. So there's that. So it's all developing, and I think it's either down to Lewis, Nico Hulkenberg and Felipe Massa. I want one of them to have a decent race. It's going to be a long race, and when it's a long race, it's usually a race where things either go wrong or go very right.